What I'm going to talk about now, just quickly, is some of the resources that are available from the university to support your candidature. And they come in a variety of different forms. The first is the general support that the university provides through its funding model. Basically, the faculty receives funds from the Central University in order to support HDR candidature. I think I'm going to close the door. The university provides a range of supports, a range of finances to the faculties. I won't go through all of the different aspects of equipment that all the different things that funding can be used for, but it's important for you to understand how funding operates in your faculty and department and how to apply for funding. So there is funding that's available. In general terms, the university, of course, pays my salary, pays to support all the staff who are working to support HDR candidature, but it also pays for more specific project-based funding as well. So if you're undertaking field work, you require equipment, you require access to equipment, you have costs in your research, you have a large amount of disposables, you need to travel for your research. Your core research can be funded through the faculty in order to facilitate your ability to complete whatever work you need to do. Anything that you need to do in order to satisfactorily complete your project. So each faculty will be running a commencement program. Make sure you attend that. Make sure you know what funding is available, what it's available for, and how to access it through the faculty. The university, of course, also offers life support through a variety of training programs. The Australian government provides a lot of money to the university to support HDR candidature as well. What I want to talk about in a little bit more detail is the Postgraduate Research Fund, and Philippa mentioned this morning as being a really important contribution to her experience as a PhD candidate. The Postgraduate Research Fund, the PGRF, is a funding scheme exclusively for HDR candidates, and it pays up to $5,000 to a candidate to undertake one of two activities, either to attend a conference, hopefully an international conference, at which you are doing a presentation. Okay? And the overwhelming majority of people who access PGRF funding are using it to attend an international conference. The second way in which you can second thing that you can use PGRF funding for is for a variety of different activities, lab visits, meeting overseas research teams, going to overseas research sites. It's also possible to use PGRF funds for that, and a lot of people actually combine the two. So they'll go on a trip to an overseas conference, and they'll then round it out with a visit to a lab, or an archive, or to a research site, an archaeological dig, for example, that's going to augment their experience in research. Okay. Now, just a few words about the conference that you attend. You do have to be presenting at a conference. The university won't fund anybody to attend a conference unless you're presenting at it. Okay? That goes for academics as well as for HDR candidates. And so you have to be thinking ahead early in candidature about what are the big conferences in your field, what are the conferences that you are going to get most benefit out of, okay? And the aim would be for you to plan to attend an international conference sometime in your second year, when you've done the most of your data collection, most of your literature research, you have some preliminary conclusions, you're already starting to draft things, you know exactly what you're doing, and you're about to move on into the drafting stage or even the final drafting stage, and it's a really, really productive time for you to get feedback from experts about your research. So when you've really got something substantial to present, you can go and showcase it at an international conference and get some feedback from an expert audience about exactly, how well you're doing, Conferences can be pretty rough and ready. They can be incredibly supportive and productive, and you can meet the leading researchers in your area who can be incredibly supportive and positive towards you. You can get some people who just their greatest pleasure in life is to tear others down, and which seems to me to be some kind of problem that they have, but that happens at conferences. So it can be a bit of a robust experience, but it's almost always an incredible experience to go and see the leading people in your field, giving speeches, doing presentations, and getting to network and meet people. It has some very productive practical outcomes. You can meet people who you might want to become the examiners of your PhD. You have a huge say, if not the most important say, in who gets to examine your PhD. And one way in which to find out an expert audience is to attend an international conference. Okay, so the PGRF can provide you up to $5,000 for one of these activities, and it's important for you to be planning now to take advantage of that. Now, it is competitive. We can't give the award to everybody, and so it is important that you hone some skills in applying for funding. Juliet runs workshops specifically about the PGRF to aid you with how to apply for this funding. So it's not an absolutely guaranteed entitlement, but it is a really important opportunity to cultivate your skills. One of the important things about it is that it can't be used for what's considered a core activity of your research. It has to be for what's considered a value add. So when you are doing that presentation, don't ask for it to fund the fundamental core piece of field work that you have to do, or to buy a piece of equipment that's absolutely indispensable to your research. Our view would be that's actually the faculty's responsibility to support that. What this is for is in giving you a value add, giving you an extra experience that's going to contribute to your thesis, but is also going to contribute, importantly, to your career development. The other piece of advice is about identifying conferences, not only in relation to the PGRF, but also in relation to going to conferences in general that you might fund from other sources. Faculty money, department money, your supervisor might have money, you might have personal resources, you might have industry resources to fund trips to other conferences. It is good advice to try and go and attend and present at conferences, only when you're ready to do it, when you've got something to show. But the important thing is you should always aim high. So don't self-censor. Philippa also talked about the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome really does weigh down on most people undertaking research, where you kind of feel that up there are these great researchers and you're just some humble beginner and you'll never actually reach that standard. All of those researchers were in the same situation as you once. And it is important when choosing examiners, when choosing conferences to go to aim high. First PhD candidate I had chose as an examiner the biggest name in the field globally. And we thought, oh, well, we'll just ask him and see what he says. He'll probably say no. He said yes. He loved her thesis, said he learnt a lot from it, which was a very humble thing for him to say, but it was an incredibly positive experience for her, as you'd imagine. So, so always think of, we only accept you into the PhD because we think you're really good, and you're in that big league at the moment, and you're now in that big league. So don't hesitate to think, in the big picture of what might be possible for you.